Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. With the economy continuing to show signs of a continued slowdown, the news coming from the economy is not the best. In the last couple of days, we have further news of all kinds of slowdown which show that the deterioration or the slowdown seems to be all pervasive. A report by the NCER says that business confidence in India is at a 6-year low and that capacity utilization in the manufacturing sector is at a 9-year low. The report further says that there is lack of confidence in every sector that they surveyed, whether it was consumer durables, consumer non-durables, capital goods, services or intermediate goods. The NCER says that confidence has receded in all these sectors. It further says that a mere 46% of the respondents expect that there will be an improvement in the economic environment in the coming 6 months, and just 39% of the respondents think that the financial position of corporates will improve during the next 6 months. That was a business confidence report from the NCER. A consumer confidence report from the RBI says that consumer confidence is at a 6-year low again. And it says further that private spending is at an 18-year low, which is much more than what we were expecting. The RBI findings further say that employment has gone down, income has gone down, discretionary spending by consumers has gone down, which is all because of their depleting confidence. Consumers, the RBI further says, are not visualizing any improvement in their confidence, whether in the present times or in the future. That's consumer confidence dipping as per the Reserve Bank of India. Yet another report says that factory output in India has contracted in the September quarter by 4.3%, which makes it the lowest in the last 8 years. It says that because of structural slowdowns and issues remaining unresolved, the factory or the manufacturing output continues to contract. It has been shrinking. And it says that there are very few signs of any kind of a turnaround in this sector. The report says that it is expected that because of this dismal performance, monetary easing by the policy in terms of interest rate cuts will go up even further. The other indicators that come that make it even more worrisome is that power consumption in India declined by 13% in the month of October, which is supposed to be a busy season in terms of the festival and also in terms of production of goods for the festival. So power consumption fell by 13% and it was a fall for the third consecutive month. CMI reports that job creation has fallen further and unemployment has risen in the process. Mother sectors like NBFC, real estate, telecom, they all remain stressed, and so is the case of banks according to us. And very interestingly, the recent round of bidding for projects by the NHAI invited, or rather just 3 parties bidded for it, which again is an all-time low for projects being announced by the NHAI. As if this was not enough, an internal report of the SBI says that they expect the Indian economy to grow by a mere 5% in the financial year 2020. And it says that in the quarter ended September 2019, the Indian economy grew by a mere 4.2%, a decade low. And just showing that the slowdown continues, it has not bottomed out. SBI expects that the growth will pick up only in the financial year 2021, and that would not be a runaway or a rapid pickup. It expects the growth rate of the GDP in FY 2021 to be 6%. The SBI report further expects that RBI will cut its interest rates even further, but it says that interest rate cuts are not going to show any material revival in the economy. In other words, it very clearly admits that there are limitations to reviving the economy through the route of monetary policy, which is making money easier. SBI hopes that the fiscal policy will manage to improve the demand in the economy, but that is just a hope. The SBI report further says that the NBFC sector needs to be revived, much more liquidity needs to be put into it. There must be stability in the sector such that credit lending shoots up, because of which again the economy has been suffering. And SBI notes very pertinently that power consumption in the country has fallen again. That's something which is noteworthy. So as the Indian economy continues to deteriorate in its growth and the slowdown is pervasive, affecting all sectors of the economy, what has now become the bigger issue is reviving confidence in the economy, reviving confidence of the businessman to invest, reviving confidence of the consumer to spend. Both of them have depleted significantly. The government has been taking measures, but the government's measures so far have primarily been trying to impact the supply side. They have not really been able to perk up the demand side, because of which the demand has been falling, it continues to fall. And even the Diwali season did not see its magic coming back for the businesses and for the retailers and shopkeepers. Ironically, we are trying to revive demand in a country with a population of 1.3 billion, a population which not just has got unmet aspirations and thus provides a ready market, but also a country where there is a huge backlog in infrastructure and investment. And in such a country, we have seen a slowdown such that confidence is eroded today. In order to achieve this entire target of reviving the economy, we actually need to increase the income of the population. We need to give jobs to the population. We need to ensure that the livelihood of businessmen is restored, which today is extremely eroded and depleted. Thus, what comes across to us more than anything is that the stressed and distressed MSME and informal sector is where the government really needs to focus to generate demand. It is this sector which provides livelihood and jobs to a large swath of the population, and that's where the focus needs to be. The most interesting issue that comes here is, according to us, it's a chicken and egg situation. The demand, if it is increased, investment goes up. But then, investment goes up only when there is a demand. So, the question is, what starts first? Irrespective of getting started in this game of what first and what next, we need to realize that we need to restore both. And for doing that, according to us, for restoring this confidence of the businessman to invest and do business and of the consumer to spend, according to us, there are a few critical steps that need to be taken, or reforms that need to be initiated, or policy measures are needed. The first issue that we are seeing is that the businessman is at danger. According to him, his capital is at risk. His capital is at risk because of compliance costs being too high and because of all kinds of contingencies arising to his capital and his business in the process of doing business. The laws today, the way they are, for the smallest of issues, they result in a filing fees, and for violations, if any, there is huge penalty and prosecution. The entire capital of a businessman is put to risk. Forget the fact that demand has gone down. Forget the fact that if a businessman produces and the goods may not sell. But the reality is, there is systemic risk to the capital. The businessman sees his capital in danger and is not willing to invest. Because of that, no new projects, no new jobs, no growth in the economy. So the first is, this perception of risk to capital needs to be de-risked. And for that, it is the laws and the governance that needs to be made easier. The other reason why the businessman would not be willing to invest, according to us, lies at the door of the judiciary. The World Bank rankings in respect of ease of doing business very pertinently point out that India has a very low grade ranking in terms of enforcing contracts. In a country where contracts do not get enforced, it is the MSME sector which suffers the most, because if a big enterprise does not honor its commitments, that leads to courts. And with the kind of judiciary that we have, where justice is very slow and expensive, why should a businessman really get into business, risk his capital in turnover, where it is going to land at the doors of a judiciary, and when will the judgment come will become a big question mark. Even the bigger enterprises suffer because of this, but The slow and expensive judiciary, the uncertain judiciary, makes a businessman in the smallest segment the most vulnerable. The third and related one is, in the last few years, laws have become harsher. They have gone high in number. The number of laws that you comply has shot up. The government may say that they have taken away the obsolete laws from the system, but those laws were irrelevant to the businessman. They have been replaced by a plethora of laws which make it extremely complicated, complex and costly for a businessman to get into business. And if he doesn't do that, where will the jobs come? So we are talking about a situation where laws are very harsh and they need to be modified and simplified. Corruption and red tapeism continues to be the bugbear of any businessman. Unless these two are not tackled, why should a businessman risk his capital, get into business? If you actually look at the plight of a businessman when it comes to these two, it completely threatens to erode his profits and capital for a year when he gets into the throes of being stuck in bureaucracy, red tapeism or corruption. And that is a good enough factor for the businessman not to risk his capital. It erodes his confidence, of course. Credit and delivery of loans in the system is an issue that will get sorted out only if the banking crisis and the NBFC crisis is sorted out. If you look at the present situation, the government cut corporate tax rates and it thought that was a magic wand. It did not prove to be so. If you look at the corporate results that have come out for September 2019, sales has gone up only in a few cases, despite September being the month that leads to the festival season. Sales have gone up just a little. In fact, they have receded. Profits have gone up because of the cut in taxes. But then, if the sales do not go up, why will a businessman invest? Why will new projects come up? And if new projects do not come up, where do the jobs come up? And if there are no jobs, the confidence is missing for the consumer and it is missing also for the businessman. So the real challenge today, according to us, is reviving confidence. And reviving confidence means overhauling the entire regulatory system, the legal system, the environment in which a small entrepreneur does his business. Unless that is not majorly rectified, you can continue to see that the confidence of the businessman and the consumer will continue to be eroded. And that only means that the slowdown will be aggravated further. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.